Now it's time to get into layer masking. And if you don't think you're familiar with layer masking, but you've watched the last few videos that we talked about adjustment layers, well, you already know what a layer mask is. It's pretty much the same thing. All right, we can just extend it a little bit with regular layers. So go ahead and open up the two images for this lesson. I'm going to go to the golf ball, select all and copy, and then come back to the other image here and just paste it in and move it over to the right a little bit. Now what we're going to do is go down to the bottom of the layers palette and add a layer mask to this. It's the third icon from the left. All right, it's the little hollow circle there. Just click on that icon and that adds a layer mask thumbnail directly to the right of the original layer thumbnail. Now this looks exactly like the thumbnail that was added whenever we added an adjustment layer. So it's the same concept. Okay, and what we can do here is use the same things we learned with adjustment layers on this layer mask, because what's the difference? Nothing. There is no difference. These layer masks that we have on regular layers are the same as what you get with an adjustment layer. So for example, if you recall in an earlier lesson, what we did is I brought an image in here and I took the eraser tool and I erased things away and did that whole thing. Remember how we blended both the images together in the first couple lessons? Well, the problem is if I ever want to be flexible here and maybe change this and move the design around, I'm pretty much stuck because I've erased all these pixels here. They're gone. All right, so I'd have to bring the original image in again and start over. But with layer masks, let me undo for a second. With layer masks, I can achieve kind of the same. I can achieve exactly the same effect, but in a much more flexible way. If you recall with adjustment layers, we were able to take the gradient tool and that black and white gradient that we clicked on and just drag over our image, and we're able to blend both of them together. We can do the same thing here with the layer mask on a regular layer. It's blended both of these photos together. If you want to see it up close, just hold down Option or Alt and click on the layer mask, and you can see what the mask looks like. And if you remember, black hides whatever is on the layer and shows whatever is on the layer directly below it. White lets you see what's on the layer. So take a look here. Wherever it's black, we don't see the golf ball. Where it's white, we do. And these areas of gray in between, think of this as opacity. All right? Anything that's not totally black or totally white is like changing the opacity of a brush, and it's allowing us to kind of see through it. All right, so let's go back here, and I'm going to click Option or Alt again and click on that layer mask thumbnail so you can see how we get this nice transition, because that's where that gray area was, right in the middle. But as we learned when we worked with adjustment layers, we can select our brush tool and we can paint with black and white onto this layer mask as well. So if I wanted to hide more of the golf ball, I could come up here and just start painting with black. If I decided later that I wanted to show more of the golf ball, I could just switch my foreground color to white and start painting on that as well. Okay, so you can do some really powerful things here. I'm going to undo a couple times again. What I'd really like to do here is I'm going to bring in, you can see how we can almost see through the clouds in the back of the golf ball. I'm going to paint with white on the golf ball, and that's going to keep us from seeing through to those clouds that were behind it. All right, and if you happen to just be painting along and you happen to spill over like I just did on purpose, just switch your foreground color to white, or switch your foreground color to black, and you can come in there and you can start painting as well. All right, so you can do a lot of different things when it comes to being able to control this layer mask. It's the same exact thing that we had when we worked with an adjustment layer. You can use gradients, you can use selections, you can use the brush tool, you can use anything you want to put black and white on this layer mask. All Photoshop cares about is that it's black and white. Now, there's one last little thing I wanted to leave you with in this first video on layer masking, and that is you've got to be careful about what thumbnail you click on in the layers palette. Because I kind of lied before. I said what's the difference between the adjustment layer mask and a real layer mask on a real layer. I said there was no difference. There's a tiny difference, and that is, take a look at this outline. See this outline that's around the layer mask thumbnail? You can see those 4 little squares around there. If I click over onto the layer thumbnail, you'll see that outline moves. What that is Photoshop's way of telling you which one is selected for editing. So if, for example, right now I were to start painting with white, okay, it's like I'm painting with white over the entire image, because that's exactly what I just did. I painted with white over the golf ball. I don't want to do that. I want to paint with white on the layer mask, but you might want to paint with black and white on the layer itself too. So you just have to understand which one that you've clicked on. So if you happen to see this and that's not what you were expecting, chances are it's because you had the wrong thumbnail selected. Just undo and come back over here, click on the layer mask thumbnail. That highlights it. Now the layer mask is ready for editing, and I can paint with black and white on that, and that's where I get this ability to blend layers together.